Saint Lucia, mama, that's the land of my birth,
Bonjour tout le monde. Jodi assez vendredi. Il disait, et puis conversation kabaoya. Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, 10 a.m., and it is time for Rum Shop Talks. Before I get started, I just wanted to, because I probably will forget to do this, but wanted to point out that it is next week, Thanksgiving. So if I forget, which I may forget at the end of this, I want to send early Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. It is awesome. We will not be doing Rum Shop next week because we will be out of town, like truly out of town. And, but yeah, so probably no Rum Shop next week, but we'll be back the following week. That being said, we'll get started with our rum drink of the day. It is called the Gold Rush, and it is just in time for Thanksgiving. It is made with, my staples. We're using Bounty Gold today with some triple sec, some citrus, and of course, sugar syrup. So let's get started. And also, for our legal portion, I wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up on what the legal portion of today is, because it may apply to you, and you may want to stay tuned to that part of it. For our legal portion, we will be discussing the importance of estate planning for single and for single people and married people with no children. I'll tell you why I chose that topic. So stay tuned. Let's get to the gold rush. My hands are freezing. I feel like California weather has it's like totally just all over the place. Last week it was in the 80s. I was wearing a dress with no sweater, and today I'm wearing a sweater and I'm cold, and that ice feels cold on my hands. So 1.5 ounces of our Bounty Gold. That is a little bit more than half an ounce, you guys. I'm just pouring it in there. Got a little heavy-handed with the Bounty. I may be getting a little bit ready for the holiday, a little too early, but that happens. Then we're gonna do a 1/2 ounce of the triple sec. One ounce of orange juice. Half an ounce of lime juice. And this is like a 1 ounce shot glass in case I didn't mention that. So almost everything I'm eyeballing here. And then we're going to do a 1/2 ounce of sugar syrup. Dump that all in here. There. We're going to give that a little shake. And we will be serving it in a champagne flute right here. Real pretty. This recipe is courtesy of Bounty Rum. And so if you guys are looking for great rum recipes, I highly recommend you follow them on, I can't open, it's not opening. So let's just pop it out like this because I can't strain it. And I'm just going to strain it like that, or improvising here. But definitely follow Bounty Rum on Instagram because they post some awesome recipes on there. I have tried a fair amount of their recipes and really like a lot of the recipes that they come up with. So if you guys are wondering where I find some of my recipes from, I find them from Bounty Rum. So this is called the Gold Rush. We're going to taste it. Unlike the last couple of drinks that I made and I tried it ahead of time, I went back to the trying on here for the first time. I actually like the ingredients on here, so I think this is going to be good. But let's see. Yes, good instincts. This is really good. Mm-hmm. Mm, yummy. And what's really cool, I do taste all the extra bounty I put in there. But what's really nice is it almost is reminiscent of a mimosa. You can actually, I probably could put some club soda. I wouldn't put champagne in there, but I would put some club soda, like a bubbly water, and that would make it taste like, just like a mimosa. So it is actually good for a breakfast drink. If you guys are looking for something that you can like down early in the morning, I think that would be it with brunch. That so we have our gold rush all set up and ready to go. We'll jump into our legal portion of today's show. Like I mentioned in the intro, we will be discussing the importance of estate planning for single people or for married people without kids. The reason why I chose this topic is I met a couple of nights ago, and they did not have any children, and they were like, "Oh, we need estate planning," and we're just kind of talking through their lives. Property out of state, property out of country, no children, no family in town, locally situated. In fact, they just moved into the area, and as they were telling me their story, the I wouldn't say warning bells, but definitely the alarms are going off in my head of these people are perfect people who should be getting an estate plan and who should be getting one soon. And, of course, I discussed that with them and they were totally on board. So I look forward to them giving me a call. But I figured I'll be talking to you guys out here who are in this situation, who are, married, no kids, um, single people, no kids. And we'll talk about estate planning for you guys. So especially with the holidays coming up, you're going to be around family. Family's going to be asking you those inevitable questions. For you single people out there, be like, wait, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have children? Why aren't you married? And for, our married couples, people are going to ask the inevitable question of like, so when are you going to have kids? Because of course, if you're married, the natural assumption is you're going to have kids, right? That's just people and their craziness. And so I won't be asking you guys any of these questions, but what I will ask you as an estate plan attorney is what happens to your stuff? So I want to say I've been looking at, social media for the last year and a half and watching just how much, young people are creating wealth. Tons of people are out there creating wealth, whether it's by being a social media influencer, creating their own small businesses, but people are in the business of generating wealth. Now you create the wealth, but what happens if you die? What happens to that wealth if you don't have um, an estate plan? And so we've talked about this before, but it always bears repeating, mostly because I have this conversation so often with clients, but I realize that it doesn't matter how many times I say it on here, um, it bears repeating. Every state has what we call an intestate statute, and that is going to be the default estate plan for a person who did not create their own. And what that default estate plan looks like, and it really does look almost the same for every state, is if you die without an estate plan, if you have a surviving spouse, your surviving spouse will inherit all or some of that property. I say all or some of that property because in California it really does depend on the type of the character of the property, whether it's community or whether it's separate property, and how that all is going to go down. We're not going to get into all of that detail here, but your surviving spouse, if you have a surviving spouse, is going to get some or all of your property. What if you have no surviving spouse? Then the next step down, the court is going to look for is children. Do you have any kids? If you have children, then they will be the next set of beneficiaries or heirs to inherit your property. But what if you have no kids? Where is it going to go? In California, it's going to go to your parents. If your parents have passed away before you, then they're going to look to your siblings. If your siblings have passed away before you, or you have no siblings, then it's going to go for you only children out there. Then it's going to go to nieces and nephews. But if you have no siblings because you're an only child, then you have no nieces and nephews. And then the next step down from that is cousins. and they look at, a couple of generations of cousins down, right? But if you are single, your parents have, you're not single, so you're not married, no children, your parents have passed away before you, and you are an only child, likely your estate is going to go to cousins who you may not have any strong affinity to, and that may not be where you wanted your estate to go, right? So that right there is one of the prime reasons why you should have an estate plan, because the default plan may not work for you. Okay, it just may not work for your circumstances, as we just talked about. Furthermore, even if you did have siblings or you did have nieces and nephews, they may not be who you want to inherit your estate. And so, beyond the fact that the default estate plan that the probate code has may not work for your circumstances, it may not actually reflect your wishes. So that is one of that then becomes the number two reason why you should have an estate plan is, one, the default may not work for you. Two, the default may not reflect your wishes. And so you want to get proactive in telling, the court, or telling their family, if you have any, what you'd like to have happen. Um, Similar to being married, no children, if you and your spouse, most times couples travel together. My husband and I, we travel together almost all the time. What happens if you guys get into a plane crash, and you both, a car accident, and you both pass away? You don't have children, so where does your estate go? We could do the same thing that we just did with the single person, and may come down to the conclusion that, again, the default may not work for you, whether it's because your family situation doesn't allow it to work for you, or it doesn't reflect your wishes. Beyond that, for you single people out there, who is going to step in and make decisions for you if you become incapacitated? Who's the doctor going to call? Who's the nurse going to call if something happens to you? Who's going to be at your bedside making those decisions for you? A couple of years ago, my husband had a patient. My husband's a nurse, and he had a patient in the hospital, and that patient did not have a power of attorney. He did not have an advance of care directive. He had a will, and he had nominated an executor in the will, but wills do not have any power unless you die. So this person's in the hospital, and he wasn't married, and he didn't have anyone make decisions for him, and it was the hospital was left in this who do we call? His executor was his neighbor. That's not considered to be an acceptable person under the list of acceptable people to make decisions for you. They're not a natural family member. So, reason number three, who is going to say hi to Cassie? Cassie, say hi to everyone. So, reason number three, who is going to make medical decisions for you? Who's going to manage that wealth that you guys are out here creating? Who's going to manage it for you if you become incapacitated? So, reason number three and four of why you should be getting an estate plan. So, as we're going into the holidays, you'll be hanging out with family, and you'll be fielding questions about your future. I wanted to just add one more question to that list of questions. A lot of those other questions are not all that pertinent. It's like no one needs to know when you're going to have kids, why you don't have kids, when you're going to get married, if you're going to get married. Those are that's your business, right? It has no bearing on anyone else. It has no bearing on your future if that's the choice that you make, right? But what happens to your estate plan? What happens to your assets when you die? Who is going to be making decisions for you? That actually is a question that is very pertinent, and you need to have an answer for that. And the best way to have an answer for that is to sit down with an estate plan attorney and go through the process and create an estate plan so that you know the answers to those tough questions. Because if you don't have an estate plan, those may be questions that you don't have an answer to right now. So this is the end of today's show. Thank you so much for stopping by, you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a beautiful Thanksgiving. Stuff your face. And if you're in Dana Point, definitely go sign up for the turkey trot. I spoke to the girls, Vicky and Katie, yesterday, and they're up to, I want to say Katie said 3,500 people or 5,500 people signed up so far. So make sure you go and sign up for the turkey trot. It is so much fun. I'm bummed to be missing it this year because I will be traveling with my family for Thanksgiving. But if you are local, it is something fun to do. 3.5 miles, stuff your face before you, what is it? It's like run the race before you stuff your face. Yes, that is the motto. Um, this is my spill for the turkey trot. And also, if you're a local, definitely come down to the harbor. The lights are on. The kiss me sign is on. My son is shaking his head because he works at the harbor and he knows that once those lights go on, work is crazy for him. But here I am plugging it. It is beautiful down at the harbor in the evening time around the holidays. It is one of the best times to see Dana Point. So welcome. I'm inviting you guys to come down and get a hot cocoa and walk the lights and take a photo in front of the Kiss Me Christmas sign and tag Dana Point in it. Don't forget, make yourself a gold rush while you're making that turkey on Thanksgiving Day. I promise you it will help all of that hard work go a lot smoother and be a lot more fun. We'll see you guys not next week, but the following week for another episode of Rum Shop Talks. Like I said, if you're in California, if you're in America, I wish you a very early happy Thanksgiving. Have fun with your family, and just reflect on those things that we all have in our lives to be grateful for. For me today, it is that you guys stopped in and spent some time with me. Get your estate plan done, you guys. You don't have that much more time before the end of the year to tick that off your to-do list. Bye.